another departure to talk about, this being Saraya. So she is releasing, she's launching a podcast called Rule Breakers with Saraya. That way we'll be adding to his weekly listings, I'm sure, after the Bella's podcast. And so Entertainment Weekly has they got an advance copy, I guess, of this podcast way. And in this, Saraya announces that she is leaving AEW. This podcast will be released Thursday. I think she's releasing 2 episodes. And from the show, it says, "I'm here to tell you that me and AEW's relationship has come to an end. I had an amazing time there. There's no bad blood between us. I had such a magical time." And she says that her decision to leave has nothing to do with Tony Khan, but instead stems from a feeling that there was nothing for her in the promotion at the moment. Right now, there's really no storylines where I would fit in, she said. And Saraya also said she wouldn't shut down a possible return to AEW sometime in the future. And of course, she signed with AEW back in 2022 and coming back to the ring after having to retire prematurely after her injury at the end of 2017. So I think naturally way people are, number one, are you surprised at Saraya leaving AEW, and how do you kind of view this 2.5 year return to wrestling for Saraya? Was this sort of the run you expected for her, or did you think that she would be higher in terms of like her value to the company?
I'm not really surprised, John. Just judging by the lack of usage that they've made of her over the past year plus, it seems. Ever since really the Outcasts dissolved, or at least Tony Storm left the Outcasts, I feel like it's kind of left Saraya without much of a role. And that my sense is, from the way that I think all of this seems to be worded, I'm sensing this is more of an AEW decision and more of a Tony Khan decision than maybe a Saraya decision. Again, that's just kind of my speculation. And maybe some of that might have to do with just the audience's perhaps taste for what she's been able to offer. And if I have to say like my truth, I think she has disappointed, both in terms of her promos from day one till maybe even later on, and in ring. And again, like, it feels maybe odd to maybe criticize her in ring because she has come back from a real significant injury in her life and probably can't wrestle, to a similar level. But it maybe also creatively, I think that's where you can criticize her very fairly. She didn't really seem to offer the type of evolution that I think we've been looking for now, in the form of like, a Tony Storm, which is a very high bar, but any form of evolution nonetheless. So had a feel good moment for the Wembley show, but beyond that, I came in with far higher hopes, I think, for her.
Yeah, I can't say that I had like. It was such a wild card, right? Because she had been out of action for so long. We're talking about a neck. You just don't know how she's going to acclimate herself. And she came in at a time when the women's division was starting to kind of really get its feet under it. Like, yes, we had your Britt Bakers and Thunder Rosas, and you had some talent there. But at this point, Tony Storm is coming in, and Jamie Hayter was starting to really get over with the audience as well. Like, the women's division was elevating, and it was a very clear sign of how much just the talent around her has advanced at such a degree that, the Paige of, and we weren't talking about necessarily Paige at her, or Saraya at her best at this point. I think if she is viewing a continuation in wrestling, and she's been very open about the idea of potentially going back to WWE, I think she will fit in there a lot better than AEW. I think there's a whole lot less of expectation level, especially for those big matches on pay-per-view. I think that would be, and it's not a knock on the WWE. It's just the fact that I do feel that she would have she would just suit that television style a lot easier than the AEW one, where she's a big star. You want to utilize her in some of these pay-per-views, and that's a very high bar.
I actually really enjoyed her as a SmackDown GM, and I feel like I think she would make a great replacement for Ava in NXT.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Nick Aldis. I mean, Nick Aldis is
Nick Aldis is great. No, like I think Pierce and Aldis are great. There's one GM in the WWE right now who really is a far cry, I think. From
you're ready
standard.
to turn the page on Ava. Yeah.
I am, but whether or not the WWE will, and whether or not a certain corporate board member will have an ability to veto that, I guess that's another story. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for her. You know, whether or not WWE would be willing to like take similar risks, if you want to call it that, you know, as AEW, in allowing her to continue a wrestling career, that might be a different story. I don't exactly know what her clearances are. But I mean, I could definitely see some role for her, and she certainly has been campaigning for it, whether officially or unofficially.
Yeah, and I'll also promote the fact that Neil and we just put up our latest book club for Double Double and Espresso members, chatting The Queen of the Ring by Jeff Lean. So that is up now. And next month's book review will be the new Saraya book, Hell in Boots, which just came out on Tuesday. So we're both going to be checking that out. And next month we will be talking more about Saraya.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.